Today we sink our teeth into the hairy world of these mysterious creatures, the werewolves. Sure, vampires and zombies might steal the spotlight in the pop culture monster parade, but let's not forget that werewolves have been howling their way through history for ages. From the hair-raising the Wolfman, to the sparkling dreamboats of Twilight, and the brooding badasses of Underworld, these man-wolves have carved a niche for themselves in our hearts and nightmares. But, my fellow nerds, let's take a step back from Hollywood's spotlight and venture into the murky depths of mythological origins. Legends of these shapeshifters have prowled through the annals of history, leaving their paw prints in ancient cultures from all around the world. In this video, we'll unearth the hidden secrets and tales that have shaped the werewolf lore over the century. Buckle up, because this ride is going to be wilder than a pack of werewolves chasing a mailman on a full moon night. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The ancient origins of werewolves. Ah, the werewolf. That mythological marvel that haunts our dreams and makes us double-check our closets at night. These shape-shifting beasts have been the stuff of countless stories, and let's face it, more than a few sleepless nights. Some legends paint werewolves as regular folks who undergo a beastly transformation, while others envision a mutant hybrid of man and wolf. But here's the common thread. These hairy horrors have an insatiable craving for carnage, be it human or animal. Now that's a killer appetite. Tracking down the exact origin of the werewolf tale is as tricky as catching one on a full moon night. Some scholars suspect the werewolf made its grand entrance in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the OG of Western prose, where Gilgamesh dumped a potential lover because she had previously turned her ex into a four-legged furball. The Greeks also had their paws in the game with the legend of Lycaon. It seems old Zeus wasn't too thrilled when Lycaon served him a boy-flavored meal, so he unleashed the lupine fury and turned Lycaon and his offspring into howling wolf pack members. Not to be outdone, the Nordic folks had their own wolfy tale in the saga of the Volsungs. A father and son stumbled upon some magical wolf pelts. You know, the kind that let you be a furry for 10 days. Of course, they couldn't resist going on a woodland killing spree, but things took a tragic turn when family drama got involved, leaving one wolf with a raven-aided miraculous recovery. But some real-life serial killers played up the werewolf angle back in the day, like those French fellas Pierre Bergot and Michel Verdun. They claimed to have devilish ointments that turned them into wolfish murderers. Their horrific deeds earned them a fiery fate at the stake. Yikes. The werewolf myth has left its paw prints in history across the globe, from ancient epics to chilling folklore, and even some real-life horror. These man-wolves have made their mark. Medieval tales. In the medieval world, supernatural fascination was alive and kicking. But strangely, werewolves were missing the horror parade. Maybe the Middle Ages had enough nightmares on their plate already. Religious institutions of the time, the big shot in those days, desperately tried to tie the supernatural to miracles. They had a bone to pick with the idea of human-to-beast transformations, basically saying, nah, that ain't happening. Wolves, poor guys, were the villains in Europe. Calling someone a werewolf in early medieval legal codes was a fancy way of saying outlaw. Let's talk about the medieval werewolf tales. Picture a nobleman or king, probably too busy jousting and feasting, suddenly rocking a furry fur coat. And who's to blame? His loving wife, of course. Medieval romance loved turning men into wild beasts, and the spouse was the go-to culprit. If they were natural werewolves, a quick wardrobe change would magically bring back their human looks. Unlike modern werewolf flicks, where these creatures rocked the whole simian facial features and bipedal swagger, medieval stories took a different route. They dialed down the beastly stuff and focused on the werewolf's surprisingly human-like behavior. Think of it as a wolf with a touch of gentlemanly charm. These furballs weren't just biting people for the fun of it. They had a point to make. When they attacked, it was a calculated move to express injustice and sniff out the real wrongdoer. Oh, and in medieval times, werewolves were not just a dudes-only club. There is a tale of a rare female werewolf in medieval Britain. According to Giraldus Cambrensis, she sought last rites from a priest, thanks to a bishop's 7-year curse that trapped her and her husband in wolf form. As the Middle Ages waved goodbye, the 15th and 16th centuries brought a new belief. Werewolves were in cahoots with witches and served as the devil's minions. And just like witches, werewolves faced a fiery fate, burned alive. Transformation from hello to awoo. Forget what you've seen in recent films and TV shows. Medieval werewolves had a different style. It wasn't the wolf bursting out of the man like a ferocious party crasher. Instead, they liked to wear the wolf like a fashion-forward furry coat. One way these shapeshifters got their wolf on was by slipping into a snazzy wolf skin, very chic in Old Norse Icelandic literature. According to a tale, a priest is wandering around Ossory in Ireland, minding his own business, when he stumbles upon a werewolf couple. Now, the priest isn't exactly thrilled to perform last rites for a dying she-wolf. He suspects some devilish trickery, and who can blame him? But here's where it gets interesting. The man-wolf does a quick magic trick and unzips the wolf skin, revealing an old woman underneath. Ta-da! It's like he was shedding a coat after a cold winter. In recent films, becoming a wolf is the main event, stealing the spotlight like a diva on the red carpet. And oh boy, they don't hold back on the details. It's like Werewolf Transformation 101, bones stretching and twisting like they're doing an extreme yoga session. It's so intense that they might just burst through a poor person's skin. Ouch. And let me tell you, this isn't a quick change routine. It takes several minutes to go from human to wolf. But the end result is a fantastical mix of human and wolf, like a genetic experiment gone wild. They can be part human, part wolf, or some crazy combo in between. It's like playing genetic mix and match, Werewolf Edition. Now, depending on the film's budget and special effects wizardry, these transformations can range from absolutely absurd to downright grotesque. Or hey, even surprisingly convincing. You never know what you'll get. Types of moons and their effects on werewolves. Let's explore the unique traits of each moon and its impact on these mystical creatures. January's ice moon introduces us to the ice wolves. Known for their chilling bites that can give you a common cold, these werewolves excel in cold resistance both in human and wolf forms. In wolf form, they boast hard as diamond claws that can freeze water and fracture ice. February's storm moon gives rise to the storm wolves. Be wary of their touch, as it delivers shocking static electricity in both forms, faster than your average werewolf. Crows and ravens often accompany them as familiars, hinting at their impending transformation. March's wind moon brings us the speedy wind wolves. Renowned as the fastest of all, they possess a remarkable sense of smell and are driven, intense, and willful. Their sleek, black-furred wolf forms boast striking gray eyes and powerful howls, capable of striking fear into opponents or summoning allies. April's wild moon births the playful wild wolves. They tap into the power of light and green plants. Funny and flirtatious, these werewolves are sprinters, excelling in short-distance fights. May's fire moon unveils the flame wolves. Immune to fire and brimming with independence and wisdom, they might rock red hair with a fiery affinity in human form. They can cast balls of fire when needed. Some lucky souls even become dragon wolves, possessing the power to sprout wings and transform into dragons if born during the Chinese Year of the Dragon. June's mirror moon brings forth the charismatic mirror wolves, curious, excitable, and empathic communicators. Found in big cities with reflective surfaces, they prefer to hunt and travel in pairs or multiples of two, often pairing up with another mirror to combine their human and wolf lives. July's ghost moon introduces the elusive ghost wolves, nearly transparent with white pelts. They may come off as reserved or mysterious. Their preoccupation with other realms' constant din make them seem distant. They can trigger and control transformations with rare shadow dust. August lightning moon features the lightning wolves, ranking as the second fastest werewolves. They're immune to electricity. Their bluish or purplish tinted fur matches their electric flare. September's singing moon amplifies werewolf power with increased moonlight. While aggression might not rise significantly, they'll prowl farm fields under the harvest moon, drawn to the presence of humans and fresh meat. October's blood moon sparks a general increase in werewolf activity, especially during Halloween. These aggressive and dangerous creatures embrace their sanguine nature. November's frost moon unveils the mysterious frost wolves, sporting frosty white fur and icy blue eyes. They're immune to cold, leaving much to the imagination. December's oak moon brings a holiday surprise, with some werewolves not transforming at all. If they do, they turn into docile white albino werewolves, foraging for plants instead of attacking. And let's not forget the supermoon, occurring once every 23 years, unleashing an extra powerful and aggressive hulked-out werewolf. And during a lunar eclipse, werewolves detransform but maintain their werewolf persona in human form, leading to eerie serial killing sprees. The eclipse might even hold the key to a cure and the restoration of full humanity. Powers. First up, we've got speed, and we're not talking about your average jog in the park. Werewolves can zip through the night at a jaw-dropping 60 miles per hour. You'd be lucky to catch a glimpse of them as they streak past like a lightning bolt. And let's not forget about those lightning-fast reflexes. It's like they have a built-in radar system, allowing them to outmaneuver even the sneakiest opponents. It's like watching a werewolf version of Muhammad Ali in action. Here comes the strength fact. When a human turns into a werewolf, their muscles morph into hardened and elongated powerhouses. These werewolf biceps are so potent that they can deliver short, bone-crushing strikes. And speaking of bone-crushing, have you seen those teeth? When a human transforms, their chompers become elongated, sharpened, and as hard as diamond. They can sink those fangs into pretty much anything. Wood, bone, and yes, even most metals. Now, don't go thinking you can take down a werewolf with a measly weapon. Their thick hides, combined with their dense and rock-hard muscles, make them practically invincible. Bullets? Nah. Non-armor piercing ones won't penetrate more than an inch. Stabbing? More like trying to poke a wooden wall. Almost impossible. The werewolf's senses are a whole other level of amazing. Their hearing, sight, smell, and taste are all cranked up to 11. Their sense of smell, over 100 times stronger than us mere humans, allowing them to catch scents up to 5 miles away. Hearing, a symphony of frequencies they can tune into with ease. And their sight might not be their strongest sense, but they've got a keen eye for the hunt. Now, you might think these badass werewolves would need some downtime after all that action. But think again. Their healing powers kick into overdrive thanks to their rapid heart rate and blood flow. Some lucky werewolves can assess their heightened senses while in human form, a skill known as sense shifting. They learn to shift only the inside of their nose or ears, and it's like having a built-in zoom lens and super-powered hearing aid. Werewolves have a much longer lifespan than us mere mortals. We're talking 130 to 200 or more years, depending on the type of werewolf. Those enhanced strength and healing abilities do wonders for the old life expectancy. And some even speculate that it's a gift or a curse from the werewolf gods themselves. Weakness. First up, we've got silver, the newfound bane of werewolves. This notion emerged after the infamous beast of Gévaudan met its untimely end via a blessed silver bullet back in 1767. Turns out, the connection comes from ancient beliefs associating silver with the moon and the moon goddess Luna. Next, fire. Ah, the great equalizer. Fire can tame even the wildest of creatures, including werewolves. One spark is all it takes to turn those furry beasts into a blazing bonfire. Want a handy tool for werewolf showdowns? Dust off that old camera with a hefty flash. Bright flashes can blind and disorient werewolves, making them vulnerable for precious minutes. Now, we all know how annoying that high-pitched noise can be, but imagine them amplified 50 to 80 times for a werewolf with its super hearing. If you want to annoy one of these creatures, just grab a chalkboard and scratch away. Looking for a classic solution? Beheading is the timeless remedy for pesky werewolf trouble. No more worrying about getting bitten. Chop off that head, and they'll be down for the count. Need to halt a werewolf transformation in its tracks? Shock them with electricity. It won't exactly be their kryptonite, but it might just prevent that pesky shape-shifting process. Now comes the moon, the classic trigger for werewolf transformations. Some can only turn under the full moon's gaze, while others require any hint of moonlight. So if you can survive the night, you might just make it to morning in one piece. And let's not forget the age-old rivalry between werewolves and vampires. These two have a history of duking it out like mortal enemies. Seems that whatever turns a human into a vampire or werewolf also serves as poison for the other. A vampire bite on a werewolf? Recipe for disaster. So there you have it. A crash course in the weak spots of the ferocious werewolf.
Ludmilla!
Call. Tell 80.
Do werewolves exist in the real world? Ever wondered if werewolves, those shape-shifting monsters, are more than just bedtime stories? Do you find yourself glancing nervously at the full moon? Well, you're not alone. Many folks out there believe in the existence of these hairy creatures. But hold on, is it all true? As we journey through world history, we stumble upon countless myths, legends, and tales about werewolves across different cultures. You know how it goes. If humans can't explain something, they turn it into a legend. Sneaky, huh? Science, though, has its own take on werewolves, and it's quite fascinating. First up, we've got the werewolf syndrome. Ever heard of congenital hypertrichosis lanuginosa, CHL? It's sometimes dubbed the werewolf syndrome because it causes thick hair to sprout all over the body, even on the face. Imagine those poor souls suffering from hypertrichosis, being hunted down like werewolves. Then there's clinical lycanthropy, a rare medical condition that messes with the mind. People afflicted with this delusion believe they can transform into animals, like werewolves. It's like a real-life wolf in sheep's clothing, only way more complicated and tied to neurological health. And then there's the vampire disease. This one's all about a buildup of chemicals producing a compound called porphyrin. People with this condition start exhibiting traits that remind us of vampires: sensitive skin to sunlight, purple or red urine, and shrinking gums that make their teeth stand out like fangs. Spooky, right? But let's face it, werewolves are likely just a myth. The scientific explanations are pretty convincing, showing how transforming into a wolf with the snap of a finger is practically impossible. These examples are the closest we've come to recording werewolf encounters, but they're still far from proving the existence of these furry friends. Science may be precise, but even it has its limits. There are still phenomena that baffle the brightest mind, and werewolves are no exception. Modern interpretation of werewolves. Once upon a full moon, in the mystical world of modern times, werewolves have shed their dark medieval associations and traded curses for fiction and entertainment. No longer devil worshippers, these furry fiends have found a cozy spot in the realm of nerdy pop culture, from books to movies. Lycanthropy is the name of the game in the fiction genre. Werewolves have been howling their way into film culture for over 100 years, shape-shifting through the ages, and boy have they evolved. Take Van Helsing, for instance. In this flick, the werewolves are all about muscle, superhuman strength, and agility. They're as animalistic as it gets, roaring and ripping through the screen. A wild bunch, I tell ya. Then we have the Underworld series, where the Lycans make their mark. These creatures are a bit more human-like but still pack a ferocious punch. A touch of human and a hint of wolf. A deadly combo for sure. But hold on to your howls, because Professor Lupin from Harry Potter throws us a delightful curveball. He's the odd one out. Skinny and gangly, with a snout resembling a domestic dog. However, like a nostalgic nod to the past, Lupin forgets who he is in wolf mode. It's like the good old days when werewolves transformed and forgot about their families, chasing shadows in the night. Now, back in the olden days, werewolves were considered impure and savage, leaving their divine forms behind like bad table manners. Nowadays, we don't carry those religious connotations anymore, but the werewolf legacy lives on. So, you bet your silver bullets that these furry fellas will continue to howl their way through horror franchises. But don't be surprised if they evolve and transform with time, keeping some of those classic tropes in their back pockets. Marvelous verdict. The idea of a human transforming into a beast under the light of the full moon taps into our primal fears and desires, igniting a thrilling mix of terror and allure. The allure lies in the duality of human nature, the potential for darkness within us all, and the mysterious world of the supernatural. So whether you believe in these shape-shifting creatures or not, one thing's for sure: the mystery of werewolves continues to howl at the moon, leaving us both captivated and spooked. Keep exploring the realm of mythology, and remember, the truth is out there somewhere. Happy hunting, and if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.